Hi, and welcome to Haunted AF, the podcast of real ghost stories told by real people. We are your hosts. I'm Julie Fisk.
And I'm Rebecca Black.
So coming up today, we've got an especially spooky story about a poltergeist who haunted some sisters.
Okay.
And we're going to share some haunted locations to hit over the summer. Also, have you been dreaming about hanging out with celebrities and then waking up and realizing, no, you and Paul Rudd are not actually best friends? We're going to tell you why that's been happening in the next Beyond the Pillow.
All right. Don't forget that Haunted AF is about to take our summer break, so you have a limited amount of time to get your spooky story to us. And we've been covering lots of cool stories this season. Glitches in the Matrix, close calls with serial killers, weird dreams, along with all our usual ghosts, cryptids, and UFOs. So if you've been meaning to send us a story, now is the time to get it in. hauntedafpodcast@gmail.com.
And if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe to the channel. In fact, please do that wherever you can. We always love a good review. So this first one is from Angie. Hi, ladies. So there were three of us growing up, and we all agreed that somewhere along the way, we picked up a ghost that followed us for years. We named him Charlie, and perhaps he was one of the kids riding the bikes in our basement. Oh. Okay, so Angie is the one who had the big wheel ghost. Okay. Most of the activity was in one house, though, and continued until I was an adult. I'm attaching a picture and don't remember it looking creepy back then, but it sure looks creepy now. So we moved into this house in 1980, and we're told that the lady of the house had died in what was supposed to be my room.
Oh, no.
Not sure from what, perhaps old age. Well, we used to hear the silverware rattling all the time in the evening and other weird noises. Mm-hmm. As most parents do, we were told, quote, it's an old home. It's just settling. Nothing to worry about.
Yep.
Yeah. Why would that affect the silverware?
Sure.
Whatever, Mom. Anyhow, my room was so cold you could actually see your breath all year round. One night I was heading downstairs with my brother to grab some water, but he stopped in his tracks in front of me. That's when I noticed there were gray clouds floating through the house. We just stood there frozen watching them and eventually went back upstairs. Yeah, not getting any water after that.
No.
Another time I was in the living room watching TV while my sister folded clothes in her room. She screamed, so I went to check on her, and she was sitting in the middle of her bed soaking wet. So she had these floating candles in a glass bowl.
Okay.
And for some reason, the whole thing had just been inexplicably thrown at her.
What?
Out of nowhere. Yeah. My mother admitted years later that she would hear what sounded like a man in heavy boots walking down the hallway to her room every night. The boots would just stop at her door. I would love to ask the current owners if they've had any experiences or get a team in there to investigate. Thanks for taking the time to read this. And that is from Angie. The clouds floating through the house.
Like, how is that? That's terrifying.
Yeah.
This next one comes from Alice. Hiya, just stumbled onto your podcast, so I'm enjoying catching up. If you ever find yourselves in Baltimore, stay at the historical Admiral Fell Inn in Fells Point. This neighborhood is on the water, has cobblestone streets, and was Edgar Allan Poe's stomping grounds.
Oh,
I
that's awesome.
love it. We stayed there a lot, like once a month for a couple of years, because my husband was getting cancer treatments at Johns Hopkins. After searching Baltimore's most haunted hotel, we made Admiral Fell Inn our home away from home.
That's awesome.
I know, the couple that ghost hunts together.
Yeah, seriously.
Over the years, nothing major happened until this one morning. To set the scene, the room had double beds, and I was the one closest to the bathroom. It was about 6 a.m. and my husband had an early morning appointment. I woke up to hear the shower running. I was on my side facing my husband's empty bed. I glanced over my shoulder toward the bathroom, and yep, light was on and the shower was running. I turned to go back to sleep, and there he was, getting up. Upper body raised up, one hand pulled back the covers, and his legs swung to the floor while his other hand put on his glasses, all in one smooth motion. I saw this clear as day. I glanced back to the bathroom to confirm the light was on and turned back to him to ask how long the shower had been running. But the bed was empty. I wasn't really able to get any sleep after that. I suppose my story probably falls under the glitch in the Matrix category rather than ghosties, or maybe I was caught in that weird twilight zone between asleep and awake.
That one.
Yeah. Sadly, my husband passed away in our home in October of 2021.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I know. I'd like to think he's our guardian, but I also hope he's chilling under a big shade tree with about 1,000 doggies. I actually love that.
That is amazing.
Yeah. Thanks for the podcast, Alice. Alice.
Oh, thank you,
so
Alice. In fact, please tell us of any cool, unexpected, haunted locations that people can visit over this summer. We would love to share those in the next couple of episodes or the last episodes of season 11. Like we just shared some stories about the Talladega super speedway, that is. I'm sorry. I have not yet said it correctly. In Alabama. We just shared those in the pregame. And we also got this email from Maricela. My husband and I live in Houston, but all three of these incidents occurred in San Antonio. Mm-hmm. In September of 2011, my husband and I stayed at the Sheraton Gunter Hotel in downtown San Antonio. As soon as we arrived, I was put off by how old and dingy the hotel was, but later found out the building was built in 1909. We needed to find an ATM at one point and were directed to this room that looked like an abandoned banquet hall.
Oh my God. It's like, no, don't go.
We found the ATM there along with a bunch of old furniture, stacked mattresses, and boxes of empty liquor bottles.
I'm sorry, that's so creepy.
Yeah, it just gave off creepy vibes. While my husband used the ATM, I kept looking over my shoulder at the stairs because it felt like somebody was watching us. I just thought my imagination was getting the best of me, but when we were heading back up the stairs, we both heard what sounded like soft male laughter. I stopped on the staircase and asked my husband if he had heard it, and he said he did, but it must have come from the lobby upstairs.
Sure.
And I was like, no, that definitely came from down here. Then he just laughed and said, maybe it's people walking on the Riverwalk outside. Well, later that night in our room, my husband had fallen asleep, but I was still awake. He had actually proposed that night. So I was up texting girlfriends and admiring my engagement ring. That's so sweet. It was sometime after 1 a.m. when we both heard a woman scream. The scream was so loud and lasted for so long, it sounded like she was in our room.
Jeez.
In fact, my husband thought it was me. I turned on the lamp and told him, no, that's not me. So he thought maybe it was someone in the hall and went to the door, looked through the peephole. There was no one there. So we opened the door and found a bunch of other guests standing around at their doors because they heard the scream too.
Ooh.
So one guy said it sounded like it was right next to him. So they all kind of had the same experience. Mm-hmm. So we all go back to bed and then boom, the fire alarm in the hotel goes off. So we grab our shoes, we start to evacuate when an employee came over the loudspeaker and said it's a false alarm. As we're walking back to our room, another guest joked that the ghost who was screaming in the hallway must now be playing with the fire alarms.
Why not?
Yeah, so we all got back in bed, but there were only about 15 minutes before the alarms on all the cars parked on the street started going off simultaneously. That was it for us. We got dressed, packed up, and went to check out. We told the front desk clerk that we were too creeped out, and she was very apologetic, but she did say, you get used to it. I know.
What kind words on your way out?
I know.
You just get used to it.
My husband said, it's haunted, right? And she just smiled and shrugged and said, that's the only way to explain it. So every now and then I go on Google and read reviews, and there are several from guests that had similar experiences. And again, that's from Maricela. So that is the Gunter Hotel in San Antonio, if you want to check it out.
I want to read the reviews now. It actually looks pretty nice now. So maybe they've renovated it.
Yeah, you're right.
Please remember, if you've had a haunted hotel stay or maybe a weird weekend in an Airbnb, please send us all the details. hauntedafpodcast@gmail.com.
Spooky news, it's weird but real. Haunted houses, a ghostly squeal. Lock your doors, don't take a snooze. It's time for more spooky news.
Okay, the season finale of Ghosts is coming up.
Oh my God, did you watch this week?
No, I need to catch up. I'm like a few episodes behind right now.
Okay, you've got to, because
I mean, you can tell me. You know I'll forget.
Well, okay, they did a whole 420 episode, and some of the ghosts got high.
Oh, yay. Good for them.
It's so cute.
Did they all walk through what's her face? The hippie girl?
No, it wasn't that. Like they actually, I'm not telling you anymore. You just have to go and watch it. It's super cute.
Okay, well, if y'all didn't know, they're actually launching a new version of the series in Australia.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, the ghosts this time are going to be an Irish potato famine survivor, a stoic naval officer, an early 1900s socialite, a 1980s aerobics instructor, which is, I want to see that.
Adorable.
I love it. A gold rush era Chinese miner who appears to be the pantsless one this time.
He's got huge legs. They're amazing.
Okay, now I would like to Google this man.
Do it.
And then Satan, a misunderstood 1990s motorbike gang member with a heart of gold.
Oh,
yeah. A French and German version of the show just launched, and a Greek one is slated for the fall. So maybe they need like a network of all ghosts. where they just show every single series.
I would love that.
I would too.
Because I love the concept. I love the writing, just the whole vibe of all of it. Like, I would watch every single one of these.
It's such a cute show. I do think it's funny that it's like, how do we work in sex, though, to a ghost show? And they, of course, have to make the ghosts be able to have sex.
Of course. They're doing it.
I know.
They can have sex with
think
other ghosts.
That amuses me for some reason. Like, do you think that we can really have sex in the afterlife when we're dead?
Succubus. Or succubi. What would be the plural be?
That involves a real
You would still have to have a human?
Yeah.
I'll let you know when it's my turn. I'll figure it out. I'll find a way to tell you about it.
Thank you. You know what? I'll hire a psychic and then I'll know it's you when we talk about ghost sex.
We have to have our code word, though.
Yeah, okay.
Remember, everybody, you have to have a code word with whoever it is that you're going to try to talk to after you die.
Yeah.
So we had to do that separately.
We
so
can't
nobody,
tell anybody what ours is.
Also, some sad news. A paranormal investigator known as the Real Life Scully has passed away. Joe Nickel called himself the world's only full-time professional paranormal investigator and was known for digging into some of the world's biggest myths before he died back in March of undisclosed causes. Joe was known as a true skeptic since the Scully comparison, and he studied everything in his lifetime from the haunted Queen Mary to crop circles to the Loch Ness Monster.
Wow.
He worked as a columnist at the Skeptical Inquirer for decades and was still releasing articles this year. So we'll post a link if you want to go check him out. But everybody pour one out for poor Joe Nickel.
Yeah.
And thank God somebody was making a living off of this
No
stuff.
kidding. I also would like to subscribe to the Skeptical Inquirer now.
Yeah, do it.
That sounds awesome.
I looked it up. It's a website. It's a real thing.
Beyond the pillow.
Just a little taste.
Yeah.
Just a little taste of Beyond the Pillow.
We got the following dreams from Dottie. Ooh, dreams. More than one. I love it.
Yeah.
I was riding in a convertible with my best friend Pam and Madonna. Madonna was driving. We drove down a highway that had an overpass up ahead, and as we got closer, we realized there was a man standing on it and waving at us. As we drove under, we saw that it was Garth Brooks. You got some fancy dreams here.
Yeah.
And we all waved back at him. Years later, I dreamt I was in a smoky dive bar in Bossier City, Louisiana. And as I sat there listening to the house band, I noticed that Pee Wee Herman and James Brolin were sitting a few tables over.
That's what it says.
That's her laugh. I was just, imitating.
You're just acting it
I
out.
was acting it out. That's what I do, Julie. I'm professional.
Yours was a little crazy.
It was, yes.
Okay, sorry.
It had to be over 30 years since I'd seen Pee-wee's Big Adventure, which starred both Herman and Brolin.
Oh, I forgot that they were both in that movie.
Yeah. First of all, I love that movie.
I do too. And did you see that there's a documentary, a Pee Wee Herman documentary that's coming out?
I'm very excited.
Amazing. Go to YouTube. I'll put a link in the show notes.
Yeah.
Because it looks really great.
There's no basement in the Alamo.
Whenever I tried to put the Pee Wee Herman dream into DreamyBot, it got really confused. Like, I don't think it realized.
It didn't understand.
Right. So I just put in the thing about Madonna and Garth Brooks. So DreamyBot says, the convertible itself is a powerful image because it represents freedom and a willingness to be seen. Pam, your best friend, signifies companionship and a safe space for authenticity. But Madonna at the wheel is key.
What?
Madonna is a cultural icon known for pushing boundaries, reinventing herself, and owning her sexuality and power. Having her as the driver suggests part of you is embracing a more assertive, confident, and unconventional approach to life.
Okay.
Garth Brooks on the overpass is fascinating. That's DreamyBot is saying this.
I love that he's fascinated.
Yeah, overpasses represent transitions, and Garth Brooks, a country music superstar, embodies a more grounded, relatable, and traditionally masculine energy.
Okay.
His waving at you and you waving back suggests a need to be seen and appreciated for who you are, even by those who might represent a more conventional value. This dream seems to be a subconscious exploration of how you present yourself to the world and whether you're allowing your authentic self to shine through. That's a lot.
It is.
Do you have celebrity dreams?
Sometimes. I couldn't tell you the last one that I've had, though.
Mine was Paul Rudd.
Was it really Paul Rudd?
We were best friends.
I do love Paul Rudd.
I do too.
I think we could all be best friends with Paul Rudd.
I do too, but I will have the dream where I'm best best friends with a dude. It's almost always a dude.
Really?
And yeah, and I wake up and in my dream, I'll be like, damn, it's really cool that we're friends.
Yeah. Isn't that so disappointing when you wake up from a wonderful dream like that and you and Paul are besties and then you figure out that it's not true?
Yeah. I used to have shower dreams where I would be like taking a shower with like Leonardo DiCaprio or young Don Johnson from the Miami Vice
not
days.
A bad dream to have at all.
They were great dreams. I miss those. Okay. So I mentioned this last week, how I went to a party and I met a woman named Bex.
Yes.
And she had a ghost story. So are you ready for this?
I am ready.
So you started by saying that you had a poltergeist. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was 14 years old, my family decided to move house. And we ultimately bought a bungalow, which was about 70 years old at the time. But when we were viewing it, I got a really creepy feeling. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know what it was, and I didn't like it. But having an attitude problem at that age and telling my parents this house was like haunted, they were just not listening to me.
And where was this?
Basically in Berkshire in England, so about an hour from London, about 40 minutes from Windsor Castle.
Okay, so you told your parents that you felt like the place was creepy, but they went ahead and got it anyhow.
They sure did, yeah.
So then what happened after you moved in?
I probably should preface this that my parents do believe in ghosts, but for some reason they would not acknowledge me and my sister at any of this activity until many years later. But the very first day we moved in, me and my sister had arrived after the delivery of the boxes and everything was in the garage. So I went in to get a box that was labeled for my bedroom. And as I picked up the box, I looked up and there was a gentleman stood in front of me towards the end of the garage. He was probably 5'9", 5'10". He looked middle-aged. He was balding and he had a suit, like a tuxedo on.
Oh. And
I looked at him. Yeah. I looked at him and was like, blinked, and he disappeared in front of my face.
Oh my goodness.
So I didn't tell anyone about this because, again, I've got an attitude problem at this point, and I'm kind of like the black sheep of the family, always the one causing all the arguments and things. So there's no one's going to believe me about this.
Right.
That night, I'm packing stuff in my room. There's a lot of like cupboards in the room. It had 2 built-in separate wardrobes. So I was unpacking into one of the top cupboards, and I just got this feeling that something is at the other end and it's staring at me. Mm-hmm. And it really made me uneasy. So that night we all go to bed, and my dog Billy at the time, she was sleeping in the kitchen, and she woke up really, really upset. She'd never done this before in the previous house, and she was crying and yapping, and we didn't know what was wrong. That day was pretty normal, but then the following days, I kept waking up to the dog barking, which was unusual, but also then we started hearing like footsteps on the roof and in the attic above our heads, and my parents kept saying it was the squirrels. Shortly after that, in the middle of the night, about 3 a.m., I'd begin to notice that I would wake up and I'd hear footsteps walking along the corridor, and it would turn past my room and go down to the front door. And the mailbox was in there as well. The main door, it sort of clunked as if something like tried to move it. And then I'd hear the mailbox lid go up and down. Then my sister, her room was kind of the other side of the house. She'd then hear footsteps come along past her bedroom, and her bedroom, the trash cans were outside, and she'd hear something rummage through the trash cans and the security lights would go on.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so this happened for a really, really long time. But in the first couple of weeks of us moving into the house, it basically was the Easter holidays. In England, we have 3 weeks off over the Easter holidays. We were older, so my parents left us at home while they were at work. Mm-hmm. I came home from visiting a friend one day, and I found my sister Sam and her friend Abby locked in the bathroom. And I asked them, like, why are you guys in the bathroom? Because they were screaming as I came in the house as well, like they jump scared. Yeah, and I'm like, what's going on? So they say, Abby tells me, my sister's friend, she goes, we were in Sam's bedroom, and I looked into the garden, and I could see a man, and I said to Sam, who is that man? And Sam looked up, said, I don't know. We both screamed, and he disappeared before our eyes.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, so I asked, what did the man look like? And they described a man, 5'7", 5'8", bald, in a tuxedo. Okay, this is a common theme here.
Right.
And then a couple of days later, Sam and I were home alone, and we're both in this, like, we want to decorate our room. So we're like furiously going through magazines, taking pictures out, posters on the wall. Mine specifically was Eminem, I remember at the time. And we're both in our separate rooms, both have probably music going on at the time. And all of a sudden, everything electric in the house goes on full blast. Every radio, every TV, the microwave, alarms, anything you can imagine electric, it's gone on full blast just randomly. So we both kind of run into the hallway, like screaming, because it's like, oh my God, what's going on? I'm the big sister, so I'm like, well, I'll have to sort this out. But reluctantly drag her around the house with me and kind of turn everything off.
Yeah.
We calm each other down. We both go back into our separate rooms, and we both have every cupboard door, every drawer, everything that's been pulled out, like everything that could be possibly open is open, and all of the posters have been pulled off the wall and they're on the floor. Completely like a scene out the Poltergeist. So that was pretty terrifying.
Oh my gosh. So he definitely did not like Eminem.
No.
He was not an Eminem fan.
He was not an Eminem fan, probably not a Backstreet Boys fan.
That's terrifying. So did you tell your parents about this one?
We did, yes. And we were kind of dismissed about that. And I don't know whether it's because they were trying to protect us or not, but they just would not acknowledge anything that we would tell them. And then this same period, the same 3-week holiday, whenever it was the Easter, I was telling my friend Samantha, oh, I think we have a ghost here. And she's like, we should do a Ouija board.
No.
Yeah, great idea. Well, obviously, we didn't know that's the worst idea you could possibly do at the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we make one out of a cereal box, and I'm pretty sure she's moving it. I'm sure she's sure I'm moving it, but it's moving, and it's spelling out, like, hello, and then we ask it what its name is, and it spells out Jeffrey. And then it's still kind of moving around. We're asking it some questions, and my parents' lounge is really, really lost. And we were at the end, furthest away from the door. All of a sudden, the door handle literally went down. We could see it go down. The door opened, and something walked in, or something entered the room and brushed past the plants that my mum had next to the door. We thought them all move, and we just like screamed, absolutely shat ourselves, and jumped out the window. I didn't go back. I didn't go back until my parents were home, for sure. I don't know why. I was never really scared of him, but he did seem to have more of an affinity to me than anyone else in the house. Particularly, he seemed to have some kind of like, I don't know if he was trying to be like a moral compass to me or something, but I was, like I mentioned, I had a pretty bad attitude as a teenager. So if I was ever going to try and do something like sneak out for a crafty cigarette or something,
yeah,
I would quite often find that a door would slam in my face, or an attic door would, the attic door would come tumbling down from the ceiling, and the ladder would come right in front of me to try and stop me leaving. Yeah, and my dad actually put a lock on that attic because it happened so much just to me that he blocked it off. And so I got this feeling that maybe it was me that he was most interested in. And he used to fuck around with my boyfriends that they stayed over. Annoyingly, only the one he didn't do it with is my husband, and he's been the only non-believer that I've ever met. So, like, annoyingly, yeah, one boyfriend was staying over, and my bedroom ceiling light kept flashing green. It wasn't a green bulb, and it was off, so we like had no idea how it kept doing this. But it kept doing it. And then in the morning when I woke up, all of the faucets were running in the house.
What?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So there was a bunch of weird stuff like that.
So Jeffrey was like super protective of you.
Yes.
And I guess he's cool with your husband now. So does that mean that your family still owns this house?
My family do still own this house, yeah. And when I went home at Christmas, I got a visit from Jeffrey.
What happened?
Okay, so I haven't really felt anything about him for a long time, but I came back this Christmas and I was staying in my sister's old bedroom, and I heard someone go and have a shower about 5 a.m. in the morning one night, and I was like, why is anyone showering at this time? And I asked my mum about it, and she was like, no one was up. Okay. And when I was in the shower, when I used to shower there when I was a teenager, did my parents have like a digital shower? Like you can see the temperature and you can see the pressure. And so the temperature would go up by itself and the pressure would go up by itself. and it would turn back down. And in the end, I would just be like, Jeffrey, leave me alone. And he'd stop. But that happened again when I was back as well. This one is particularly weird. This freaked me out a lot, actually, at the time. My parents and my sister were away, and I was the only person in the house. I was 18 at the time. There's one particular night I woke up, I don't know, 3 or 4 a.m. to a hand stroking my face. I could feel each individual finger, like literally going down my face. And I just kind of jumped in the middle of bed and like screamed and then magically went back to sleep. But yeah, that one freaked me out pretty bad.
We hear this all the time, though, where something pretty dramatic like that will happen and people are able to go back to sleep, which I feel like there's something to that. So have you ever had anything here happen that feels like maybe he's followed you in some way?
So I don't feel like that, but one of my friends has claimed that I've left him in her apartment and he's now in her apartment. So I don't know how true that is, but she swears that I need to come and collect him.
I just have to tell you, your phone is doing some strange like pitch changes every now and then while we're talking. And it's something I don't remember happening before whenever I've interviewed somebody on the phone. So it's just interesting.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I always wonder, because like when people will send us audio, I'll notice this every now and then where there's like some sort of weird fuzz or pitch change or wobble that doesn't really make any sense. And it's happened multiple times since we've been talking. So I'm going to blame Jeffrey personally.
Yeah, it's totally Jeffrey. I had a psychic that said that there's a random gentleman that follows me around, always with me. And I was like, is it my grandparents? She's like, no, you don't know who this person is. I knew it's Jeffrey. So it could be him.
So have you ever tried like saging, smudging, doing any sort of cleansing stuff to try to get rid of it?
Yeah, I haven't, but maybe I should. Yeah.
So you need to keep us posted. Do you have any plans to go back home at any point in time soon?
I'm going back next week, actually.
Okay. Can we check in with you? How long are you going to be home?
About a week, yeah.
Okay. Can I check in with you when you get back? Because that's going to be before we end our season. So maybe I'll just give you a call and see if anything comes up, because sometimes when we talk about this stuff, it seems to stir up the activity. So just keep us posted. Yeah. And thank you so much for sharing this with us. I can't wait for Rebecca to hear all of this.
Awesome. Yes. I have more if you ever want to hear more.
More?
Yeah, absolutely. We definitely
After all of that.
And did you notice those pitch changes when we were listening?
It's clear as day.
For the record, I had to go in and like turn the volume way down on all of them because it would blast all of a sudden. So what you're hearing there in that interview is actually turned way down. Yeah. So it was interesting.
My gosh.
And listen, I really think she's going to have an experience while she's home.
I'm like, what can we send her with? Like, I'll give you 100 cat balls to place around the house.
But here's why I think something is going to happen.
Uh-oh.
So you remember Lauren, who we talked to last week, who sent the story about Zanger?
Yes.
Which I have yet to get a single response of how did that bird get there?
Right.
Remember, because there was a dead bird that was left by...
Because there's not like a logical answer.
Right. Nobody... And I also haven't gotten a single, holy shit. I'm like, that was a great story.
It was.
Somebody needs to...
It's a freaky picture. Nobody's going to comment on how really strange that is.
How absolutely crazy that is.
Like, hey, I just sacrificed a bird and placed it here for you. Like, what the...
So Lauren texted this morning and she says, okay, y'all. So we've lived in this house for 5 years, 0 smoke alarm beeps, and no other ghost-like happenings at all. We just put up new 10-year smoke detectors a few months ago when we had our house repainted. But in the last 24 hours,
oh my gosh,
the smoke detector by the kids' room, no less, has randomly gone off on 2 separate occasions. Did Zanger find us through the podcast? What the actual... And
we brought him back to you.
We brought him back. Sorry about that. But I did tell her, I was like, I hate to say it, but sometimes talking about it seems to kind of stir that shit up.
Oh, man.
Sorry, Lauren. But man, that was a good story. And thank you, Bex, as well.
All right. So there's just a few weeks left before our summer break. This would be a really great time to become a Haunted AF patron so that you can check out all the years of exclusive content that we have at patreon.com/hauntedaf. And remember to consider yourself a Haunted AF correspondent. So if you travel traveled any fun, spooky locations this summer? We want your reviews. If you go on a ghost tour, go to a haunted museum, take tons of pictures while you're at it, and then let us know all about it.
Yeah, and if you have like a Haunted AF t-shirt or sweatshirt or cap or something like that, please wear it so it really does look like,
like you're legit.
Yeah, and since we're helping everyone with their summer vacation plans, be sure to include those haunted hotels or battlegrounds that you visited over the years. We're especially interested in the places that no one's ever heard of. Like we know that the Stanley Hotel is haunted, but we didn't know about this freaky Gunter joint in San Antonio.
That's like in our neck of the woods.
Yeah, exactly. So send those along with your UFO and Bigfoot stories to hauntedafpodcast@gmail.com so we can use them on the next Haunted AF.